This video proposes controls for the hot air pressure and the baghouse inlet temperature. Interaction is a major concern. Opening either hot air damper decreases the hot air pressure. Opening the hot air damper to baghouse inlet increases the baghouse inlet temperature. Opening the hot air damper to scrubber duct inlet alters the distribution of hot air so as to decrease the baghouse inlet temperature. Such interaction leads to tuning difficulties in single loop configurations, so none will be proposed. To reduce the degree of interaction, we will formulate the control configuration on the following basis. The hot air pressure is affected by the total hot air flow. The baghouse inlet temperature is affected by the distribution of hot air between upstream and downstream of the baghouse. What is required to increase the hot air pressure with only a small effect on the baghouse inlet temperature? The total hot air flow must decrease, but without significantly affecting the distribution. The hot air pressure controller must close both hot air dampers. What is required to increase the baghouse inlet temperature with only a small effect on the hot air pressure? The distribution must be shifted such that more hot air flows to the baghouse inlet, but without significantly affecting the total hot air flow. The baghouse inlet temperature controller must open the hot air damper to baghouse inlet, but close the hot air damper to scrubber duct inlet. For the hot air pressure, the controls will be configured so that the output of the hot air pressure controller is the average opening of the two hot air dampers. For the hot air pressure controller, the required output range is 0 to 100% open. Suppose the hot air pressure increases. The controller must increase its output. To maintain the same hot air distribution, increasing the average opening means that both hot air dampers must open. For the baghouse inlet temperature, the controls will be configured so that the output of the baghouse inlet temperature controller is the difference in the openings of the two hot air dampers. For the baghouse inlet temperature controller, the required output range is -100 to +100% open. The difference will be defined as the opening of the hot air damper to baghouse inlet less the opening of the hot air damper to scrubber duct inlet. A positive difference means the hot air damper to baghouse inlet is more open than the hot air damper to scrubber duct inlet. A negative difference means the hot air damper to baghouse inlet is less open than the hot air damper to scrubber duct inlet. Suppose the baghouse inlet temperature increases. The controller must decrease its output. To maintain the same average opening, decreasing the difference requires that the hot air damper to baghouse inlet must close and the hot air damper to scrubber duct inlet must open. How do we get the opening of each hot air damper? By incorporating two summers into the control configuration, one for each hot air damper. Each summer has two inputs. One input is the output of the hot air pressure controller and specifies the average opening for the dampers. The other input is the output of the baghouse inlet temperature controller and specifies the difference between the damper openings. The summer configuration designates the source of each input along with a multiplier coefficient for that input. Most summer blocks also provide a bias for this application. The value of the bias must be 0. Start with a summer whose output is the opening of the hot air damper to baghouse inlet. Left-click the PID diagram element for this summer to open the point window. From the Parameters menu, select the Current Calculations command to open the Current Calculations dialog window. The input from the hot air pressure controller is the average opening. The coefficient is 1.0. The input from the baghouse inlet temperature controller is the difference in damper openings. The coefficient is plus 0.5. Half the difference is added to the average to obtain the opening of the hot air damper to baghouse inlet. Now for the summer whose output is the opening of the hot air damper to scrubber duct inlet. First, open the point window for the summer. Then open the Current Calculations dialog window. The input from the hot air pressure controller is the average opening. The coefficient is 1.0. The input from the baghouse inlet temperature controller is the difference in the openings. The coefficient is minus 0.5. Half the difference is subtracted from the average to obtain the opening of the hot air damper to scrubber duct inlet. Commissioning this control configuration is the subject of the next video.